So let's jump right in. What if I told you there's an ancient roadmap to, well, to ultimate freedom? And what if that map was only 5 verses long? That's what we're looking at today, the Sadhana Panchakam, an absolutely incredible guide for this journey we call life.
To really get why this is so important, the text kicks off with this powerful image. Picture a lion, right? A creature born for the vast open savanna, but it spent its whole life in a cage. A really comfortable cage maybe, with regular meals and no predators, but it's still a cage. The text says, that's us. We're that lion living in the zoo of worldly existence.
And that's the big question, isn't it? If we're really in a prison, no matter how nice it seems, the first thing you'd want is an escape plan. Well, the good news is, according to this ancient wisdom, there's absolutely an escape plan. And here it is. It's called the Sadhana Panchakam, written by the legendary sage Adi Shankaracharya. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophy. Think of it as a practical, logical instruction manual, a step-by-step guide on how to get out of that cage.
You know, another name for this path is a logical climbing ladder. And I just love that because it tells you this isn't about some blind leap of faith. It's a rational, sequential climb. Each step builds perfectly on the last one. You're just climbing a ladder, rung by rung, toward a totally new state of being.
Now, the whole thing hinges on this one key idea, sadhana. This isn't just something you believe in, it's something you do. It's a conscious, disciplined practice. You know, it's like training for a marathon, but instead of training your body, you're training your inner life, actively and intentionally, to move towards something greater.
Okay, so here's the map itself. The whole journey is laid out over 4 natural stages of life, what the texts call ashramas. It takes you from your earliest years right through to the end. Each stage has its own purpose, its own lessons, so let's start at the beginning. First up, we have the brahmacharya stage. This is basically the life of a student. Think of this as the time where you pour the concrete and lay the steel for the entire building of your life. Get this part right, and everything else you build on top of it is going to be solid. And during this stage, the training is built on 4 pillars. You've got study, which trains the intellect to give you knowledge. Then diligence, which trains your will, pushing you towards perfection. Dedication trains the heart, which leads to devotion. And finally, renunciation trains the psyche, getting your mind ready for deep meditation. See? It's a complete, holistic education for the entire person. All right, so you've built this amazing foundation. Now what? Now you enter stage 2, the grahastha ashrama, or the householder's life. This is the real world. This is the arena. Family, career, bills, society, where all that training you did gets put to the ultimate test. But here is the big plot twist. The text says the real goal of this stage isn't what you'd think. It's not about making a ton of money or becoming famous. The real prize is something called chitta shuddhi, which means mental purity. It's about learning how to act in the world without getting constantly yanked around by every success and every failure.
And how do you do that? Well, by understanding that every single action creates one of 2 things. Either punya, which is merit, that creates good situations, or papa, demerit, which creates, well, not so good situations. But now, look at that last line. This is wild. From the viewpoint of ultimate freedom, both of them, the good and the bad, are actually chains that keep us tied up in the zoo.
A really cool way to think about this is like karmic banking. Every single thing you do, say, or even think is a transaction. It's either a deposit or a withdrawal in your karmic account. The question is, are your actions building up a balance that leads to freedom, or are they putting you deeper in debt to the world?
Okay, so after navigating the whole complex world of the householder, the journey's focus makes a huge shift. The last 2 stages, retirement and renunciation, are all about a deliberate turn away from the outside world and toward the inner world. This is it, the final ascent.
So the whole focus of your life begins to pivot. It moves away from constant action out there in the world and turns inward toward deep reflection on all the lessons and truths you've gathered throughout your life. Until finally, it leads to the state of total absorption in the self, a place where that line between me and the universe just starts to melt away.
And that is the final destination of the journey. Not just thinking about it, not just believing in it, but a direct, undeniable realization of your true self. Not your personality, not your ego, but that fundamental awareness that is literally woven into the fabric of the universe itself.
Which brings us right back to where we started. The entire point of this whole map, this 4-stage journey, is to get that one thing our lion was crying out for: total, unconditional freedom from the zoo.
And there's a word for this state of freedom. It's called Jivan Mukti. It literally means liberated while still living. This is the successful escape. Not after you die, but right here, right now. It means you're living in the world, but you are no longer of the world.
What you're finally escaping is this relentless churning ocean of samsara, that endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth that's just fueled by our own past actions. Jivan Mukti is what happens when you finally step out of the surf and onto the shore, free from the pull of those tides for good.
So there it is, an ancient, time-tested map to freedom, laid out perfectly across the stages of life that we all experience. It leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? It's not just about what direction your life is heading. It's about whether you're quiet enough to hear the call of the forests from beyond the bars of your own cage.